So how do things carry on from here? Well, I was never comfortable renting that room. And, I had to share a living space with absolute fucking retards. That is the main issue. But that's not rare, is it? Just the corruption in this town. It seeps into everything and it tries to seep into you. I've described it before that this town has claws that it will sink into you and try to make you become one with its vibe, its destiny, And it takes a lot of willpower not to get dragged down into that. Especially when you leave the house and there's just rubbish everywhere and some cocaine fucking heroin addict, in a corner, and homeless people wandering around. It's like you feel sorry for them until they become a problem, until they start giving you shit. The compassion ends there, doesn't it? When they become an actual problem. So don't get me wrong. Peace and love only goes so far. Always pays to remember that Gabura is on the tree for a reason. You don't just ignore that. For fuck's sake. Hang on. This society is fragmented and it's been dismantled. Everyone's a separate entity. There's nothing that people get together on. The sense of the culture is, it was always weak anyway, let's face it, in many respects, but now it's virtually dead. And there's always a contradiction with everything. There's always, more than one way of looking at everything. So I appreciate that, there is a wonderful heritage at the same time that there is a kind of propped up, weak, emancipated ideology based around, being nothing more than a consumer, let's face it. So where do we go from here? Well, funnily enough, this is called the Broderick Wallace channel. So my artistic creation, it's like I become him more and more. He becomes me more and more. And looks like I'll be donning that cloak before too long, standing on the hills, staff in hand, communing with the spirits of the land, the ancestors, the goddess in the land, and all manner of other shadows and impish, dwarven, whatever, the whole shebang. Well, not much is different then. Not much will be different, will it? Except I'll be doing more of it. Oh, I'm limping because I pulled a goddamn muscle in my calf yesterday, and I've had to take a day off. I've just come out of half an hour's meditation. So check out the sun there, look. That golden orb, so symbolic, the lesser light, Tifereth, sun god of the 101 cultures, gold that doesn't tarnish. That's what it's all about. But it doesn't mean you have to be a muppet. But it will mean you have to take shit sometimes in order to play a larger game, to play a longer game. You see, when you drive past the courts, you see all those people, you know, hanging around outside waiting to be sentenced. If you hang on to your pride that viciously, you're living in a town like this, you're going to end up being one of them. And that's when the claws really set in. That's why it's always an extreme last resort. And I hope I never need to go there again, because I have been there before too many fucking times. I've worked as a bouncer, I've worked as a security guard, and I've also upset enough people over the years, and I've had enough people upset me. I've had the pleasure of beating the absolute crap out of a guy who dared to take a photograph between my girlfriend's legs. That's another story. So I've seen my fair share of this worthless self-defense in extreme circumstances. And you know, with respect to any trained professional, you need an army. You need that Broderick force in place, and men need somewhere they can, you know, blow off a bit of steam. And all of the archetypes, right? They're all there. Everything needs to be catered for. There's a place for everything. So that means that everything that is valid in a different situation becomes invalid. Everything is changed by everything else around it, depending on which factor is predominant or coming into play or passing away from the game. You know, it's funny because, like, as I'm walking around the streets, if I was in the countryside where I work, people will say, "Good morning," or they'll just ignore you, but they'll ignore you politely. Here, people just stare at you like you're a threat to them, you know? And you can feel it, it's palpable, that kind of, well, fuck you, let's have a little game, let's see who can stare along, and you're like, oh, let's not, God's sake. Oh, God's sake. You know, a grown-up is an extremely rare thing in this society. So extremely rare, but then again, I'm biased because I'm here in this godforsaken shithole. So it's time to get the fuck out. It's time for me to don the cape and the mask and become that which I am. Yeah. I think I'm going to need to give this a lot of thought, and this is not going to be easy, but again, I find myself in a position whereby the Uranus in the ascendant has, you know, plays its card again. God, all I can smell is rubbish and cigarette smoke. Good fucking Lord. Okay.